Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a new game. Actually, I've got two new games, three new games. So I'm going to try and get through a first episode for each one of them today, and this is the first of the three. This is Crusader Kings 3. I'm a huge fan of Paradox games. I have all of them. At some point or other. I've played all of them anyway, but these grand strategy games I really enjoy. Although the Crusader Kings, the first one, was not a very good game. It had good ideas, but it didn't take them long to come out with Crusader Kings 2, if you remember. If not, then sit back and enjoy the ride. I'm going to play the tutorial in this one, just so you guys can see it, and I can also learn the game while you're watching. So, play the tutorial. Crusader Kings 3 is a deep strategy game of dynasties and intrigue. If you are new to the world of Crusader Kings, we strongly recommend you play the tutorial. In the tutorial, you will play as Petty King Murchad, or Murchad, maybe? A ruler in Ireland. Lead your family and dynasty to defeat your enemies and become king of Ireland. So, here are some tips in the corner. So the first thing I've noticed, hello, you are medieval ruler, land is yours for the taking, through clever marriages and diplomacy, or by way of the sword. There is no way to win in Crusader Kings, only different ways to enjoy the story that unfolds. So that's key to this. Some people play the game and they absolutely are transfixed on this idea of turning the map into the colour, and it is a big map, into the colour of their nation. Some people are keen on taking a faith, a religion, and converting everyone. Some people are keen on forming empires, although they're dynamic. You can create your own empire. I have played a version of this game where I created a Seljuk Byzantine empire, which stretched from probably around here all the way to Rajasthan, and I was able to name it. Whether or not you can do that in this version, I don't know. The game is right down into the minutiae. You can you hear this wind? So each county has different holders. That's a county in the Duchy of Borgu. So this guy owns all of these, but as time goes on, you could parcel out some of this land to relatives, or as dowry. It is possible in peace treaties, in wars. All of these are. It is possible to. Oh, some impassable terrain. So all of it is possible to, conquer. It's possible to become an Irish king and then, travel all the way down here to North Africa and create an Irish colony. Very expensive. Would you want to do it? Is it realistic? The world is your oyster, literally. But it's a long game. In the Crusader Kings 2 on Steam, I clocked 860 odd hours, but I'm pretty sure I played more than that. It never seemed to clock my multiplayer hours, of which I would say I probably played just as many multiplayer. So anyhow, let's get back into here. Next, so use WAS keys to move the camera across the map. You can also move the cursor to the edge of the screen to pan. Pressing the home key takes you to your realm. So I do that, and there I am. To zoom in and out of the map, use the scroll wheel. Different information is displayed at the different zoom levels. Details map. So this is another thing that the other game didn't have. Anything highlighted in blue, I can hover over and it will tell me details. The details map gives you an overview of the terrain and your domain. I can now, believe it or not, I now hover over something in domain. A ruler's domain is the collection of all holdings that they personally own. That's interesting. Fairly static domain limit. What's the domain limit? The domain limit determines how many holdings you can legally have in your domain. It's a never-ending look at... I think I might have found a limit there. So I now want to look at skills. Oh, maybe not. There might be a limit, but you can go down and down and down. You know, it just goes on forever. But you can even set those. So I can set that I want the tooltips to be locked, which is just amazing. I can lock them, and when I click on the side here, it will unlock them, if I wanted to set it that way. Crusader Kings spans over hundreds of years and many generations. Right now, time is standing still because the game is paused. For this part of the tutorial, we'll keep the game paused while we walk you through some game concepts. It's very generous. Sometimes you will see blue highlighted text. Oh, here you are. It's basically saying what I just said now. To continue, place your cursor over this highlighted text. Okay. Hover over the highlighted phrase inside the highlighted text loop. Oh. Doesn't seem... Very good. Good job. Next. Right. Now let's talk about the game. Everything takes place on the map before you. The world consists of large and small pieces of land, each belonging to someone based on their titles. So as we can see over here, I am in the petty kingdom of Munster. Duchy rank. Am I a duchy? Yes, I am. I'm a duke. Very good. Was it a House Brian? Brian? 512 troops. Oh, 506 levies with 6 knights. 250 piety. 600 prestige. Now these are basically currency in the game. They can buy you different things. So piety can help me to make my character different. You know, it can do different titles. I could be called the Just, and if I'm, you know, a good sort of legal brain. Pardon me, yawning again. Always watch me if you fancy yawning. So, the prestige is another thing that you spend when you go to war and forming governments and whatnot. So, the icon representing your realm is set by your primary title, which is the most important and prestigious title you hold. So, Petty Kingdom of Munster, I'm a Duke. I have a claim on the Kingdom of Ireland. Nice. Icons in your age, set by your primary title. Right. If you click your character portrait highlighted in the character view, the borders of your realm, capital, Luminich. See if I can find that. Is that Luminich? Yes, it is. Where am I? Will light up. Outside of that will be the borders of your entire realm. Munster is your primary title, which is why your realm is named after it. You also hold the Earldom of Thormond as a separate title. If you zoom out, it will read Munster on this part of that because you are the top ruler of this area. So I go out. I think I have to do that. That's it. Right. So there I am. I'm the top man. So this guy needs to fall under my... This guy needs to fall under my... the House of Muradak. I don't know. Muradak? Earl of Muradak, Mac Carthack of Desmond. You will succumb to my power. Right. As a ruler, you can only hold so much land on your own. You will often have other rulers helping with the administration of the realm by holding lands within your borders, making them your vassals. To find your own land, your domain, press stone key. So I think we already did this. But yeah, I'll do that. That's my family name there. If I press duchy titles, that's mine. And faiths, return to realms map mode. There we go. To find your own land, blah 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 blah. Once closer up, you can see the blue labels on the baronies that belong to you. In this case, it will only be this guy. So that's the only one that belongs to me because it's got my name there. The Earl of Ormond is held by your vassal. So that's this guy, Barony of Fedrefjord. That sounds like he is a Viking. Is he a Viking? He's an evil blackguard. He is also heterosexual, and he's my spy master. Brilliant. Right. He's Norwegian. Thought so. Cultural head is King Harald Hardruler of Norway. His current fascination is with West African canoes. I don't know what to say about that. Right, I understand. What's next? Character 3. You are playing as one of many characters in this world, represented by character avatars. Your character is the ruler of the realm. You will need to make sure that your dynasty survives and thrives throughout the ages. Your titles give you power and control over territory and other characters. You might hold titles and land. Who might hold titles and land of their own? Right. Click on my character. Again, characters have skills. The main skills are diplomacy, martial. Ah, look, my levy size is larger. My levy size in... Oh, right, so it's got good stuff. Holy Site, +1 in Rome. What was that? Stewardship, intrigue, and learning. What's this one? Prowess. I'm a good leader, but I'm not very good at fighting individually. Remember, since these are highlight text, you can mouse over each for a breakdown. Characters also have traits which can affect skills as well as how they react to things. So, temperate gives me... So, people who are gluttonous don't like me. Here, -10. Virtuous to Catholics. Catholics like me, and because of that, I get +1 piety up here. So at the moment, my level of devotion is dutiful. It means I suppose I observe the very basic in what's needed to be a good Catholic, and I'm progressing towards becoming faithful. Okay, next one, wrath. Did we do that one? Yeah, wrath. It gives me poor diplomacy but good martial, and also makes me a little bit bad at the skullduggery of intrigue. But what's this? Dread. Dread is a measure how feared a ruler is. Rulers increase dread by performing cruel and heinous acts, such as torturing and executing prisoners. Yes, I should have said, this game isn't for the faint-hearted. It's not absolutely horribly graphic, but there is nudity, and there is disfigurement and illnesses. In the previous game, you could get leprosy, and you had to wear a mask. But there were mods where people wouldn't wear the masks, or if they were blinded. So like the Greeks, the Greek Empire, the Byzantines had a tradition of blinding people, because a blind person couldn't rule properly. So it was a fate worse than death in some cases. But you had like a blindfold put over the character so you didn't see the holes in his head where his eyes had been burnt out. Well, you could remove those, and some people had bloody holes or blackened holes in their head. So this game isn't for the faint-hearted, and it can be quite disgusting. Right, character has lived life such as education trait. I'm impatient. I'm a skilled tactician. And I am a holy warrior. Burning with righteous fervour, Murchad will not rest until all heathens are defeated. That's not very good, is it? From this, you can see that your character typically lives a modest life, but expects others to do so also, and is quick to anger when they don't. When a character chooses to behave against their personality traits, it can cause stress. Stress measures a character's mental well-being. Characters gain stress when taking actions that conflict with their personality. Characters who gain enough stress will also gain a stress level, causing various negative effects that persist until they manage to reduce their stress. So this is a new mechanic. Before, you could become quite ill and then you had to rely on a physician to help you. But you could also act against your nature in Crusader Kings 2. So you could be a very pious individual who goes to church all the time, but then one day you could go on a mission to discover some ancient relic, and you could steal the relic, which is not a very Christian thing to do, and bizarrely it wouldn't give you any penalties. If you failed, that would be the penalty, but if you stole it and got away with it, there was no penalty. You didn't feel any stress or any remorse over that. This is different. You could feel remorse, you can feel stress, which will force your character to behave more tightly in line with what you have decided for your character. So that mechanic in itself is actually quite powerful. And it goes towards the idea that the game is not about turning the whole map one colour and conquering everything. That's probably the easiest way to play the game, because by carefully minimising and maximum effort, you could marry and befriend all the people around you. Creating allies and isolating one, and so every 10 years or so you could just take another area just by having each character you have befriending everyone, and not the person, but leaving one of those out and then conquering that one. It's it's not as easy as I've just made it sound, but after a bit of practice it is possible. So this way you can actually play the game. Often with these games, picking something that you wouldn't normally picking something that you know is bad, is where the beauty of this game comes in. The unexpected happens when you do the unexpected, and that's what makes this sort of game playable over and over again, and that's why I love this series. Right. Traits can also impact how characters react to you. Some people are impressed by the brave trait. Yep, I can see how that's good. Vassal opinions better. Opinion of craven characters. While a lustful character, yes, you can have relations. You can know in the biblical sense anyone, male or female. I think there's even asexual in this version of the game, which I find quite interesting, to be frank. I don't know how asexual I don't know, maybe it's androgynous. I'm not quite sure. I'm not up on my, gender recognition kind of. I don't know what to say without sounding like an idiot, but I'm not totally up on what the correct terms are for these things, and that's not because I'm a horrible person. It's just because I'm a little bit ignorant. But the idea of these different sexualities are affected by what your religion thinks of them. So if the religion is very forgiving of same-sex marriages or same-sex relationships, then it's perfectly fine. But if, as you can imagine, in 1066, right, so we're in 1066, what do you think the Catholic Church at that time thinks of two men wanting to get married or live together as man and wife? Not overly keen. You'll probably be burnt at the stake. Or I remember there being a king at some time who had a red hot poker stuck up his fundament. So, or legend had it, I don't know if it actually happened, but legend had it, he had a red hot poker stuck up there. So, yeah, not gonna cut too much mustard. All characters, yes, all have an opinion of one another, which drives their behaviour. A low opinion can cause people to rise against you or be unwilling to help you. High opinion can, on the other hand, make characters more inclined to join your murder schemes or fall for your seductions. So that's so I can make people become my lover. Make the scheme targets one's lover. Multitude factor determines success chance. Seduction schemes may be secret depending on who the target is. How you choose to interact with other characters will often affect their opinion of you. Right, brilliant. Gold. To help you further your goals, you will need gold. Among other things, gold pays for buildings, armies and bribes. Gold is collected passively from both your holdings and your vassals as tax. Larger vassals and more important holdings tend to give more tax. However, money is not all. Certain things can only be achieved by spending the right amount of prestige or, for religious matters, piety. So, these are currency, renowned to a lesser extent, but definitely these two. They're just as important as cash. In fact, in some instances, you can't progress, in Crusader Kings 2 anyway, you can't progress, say for example, it used to be you needed gold and prestige to create a title. So I'll give you an example. I conquer the whole of Ireland, but I don't have enough gold and I don't have enough prestige to claim the title of King of Ireland. Okay, so I could sit on all this land for 100 years before, if I've made a pig's ear or something along the way, before I'm able to claim myself as king. Why would you want to claim yourself as king if you own it all already? You would do that because if there was a piece of land that you hadn't taken yet or rebelled against you, you can then force the other people in your kingdom to aid you in bringing them back under your yoke, because a united kingdom is a strong kingdom, and the strong kingdom will less likely be invaded by its more powerful neighbour. Unfortunately, we are next to England. And England are much bigger than the Welsh, so they'll have them soon. And there'll probably be a nice war against Scotland, but they'll probably do them eventually if Scotland go after the Isles. So there's all sorts of connotations, but if you're not united and you have a powerful neighbour, you will be swallowed up, even if it's one chunk at a time. They will come for you, whether it's scheming, whether it's trying to get peasants to revolt. They'll come. They'll be there. They'll be after you. Right. However, money is not all. Certain things can be, but you can see the current state of your gold prestige. Yep, did that. Your prestige tells us how respected you are. It can be earned over time by holding lots of titles, for example, or actively, such as by marrying into prestigious dynasties or fighting as an ally in wars. Whenever you earn prestige, you build towards your next level of fame. Higher levels of fame make other characters think better of you and bring powerful ways to wage war. Right, I'm going to leave it there. That's 25 odd minutes. And then I'm going to start filming part 2. Why does it do that? That's weird. Whoa! I have to edit that bit out. Anyhow, I'll see you back in a sec.